And welcome everyone, and thank you so much for being on our program today and on our show. And it's always a pleasure to come together with all of you as intentional spirits. For those of you that tune in with the show more actively, you're aware that I have been facilitating a process with my family moving across the United States. So that being said, you've been getting some encores. And we saved our guest today because she is special. She's all that and better than a slice of vegan cheese as far as I'm concerned. And that's Dr. Susan Shumsky. Dr. Susan, welcome to our show today, and I'm so glad you're here.
I am thrilled to be with you today, Temple. I'm so excited.
Well, you and I have connected. We've shared bread together. We've broken bread together. We've talked about your amazing travel company that you've had that will be jump starting again. And I was reading more about you. You have 20 books now.
Right.
And when do you sleep?
I don't. 20 books in English and 36 foreign editions. And I've won 42 book awards. Those are my statistics.
Oh my gosh. Well, just a big old round of applause for you right there now. Oh my gosh. Well, congrats. And having been an author, nothing comparable to you. But hey, that's intense. That's a lot of effort and a lot of work. So I applaud you. I applaud you for that. Well, let's take everybody on a journey today, because as intentional spirits, one of the values that I've always liked to show people is often when we see, well, there's Dr. Susan, and look at her. She has 20 books and they're in so many languages, and she does the travel thing. It's like people have a tendency of thinking, oh, you just walked out of one life and you just walked into that one and everything was effortless. And I'd like to show people, because often our listeners from all over the world are people that they're lying dormant in a dream. You know, they have this pull, they have something calling them, and they're sitting in this place of not feeling enough, or they don't have the right degree, or, or whatever the reasons might be. And people like you share your story about who you were and how you unfolded. And that gives everybody such hope and inspiration. So how did you get to be the person that you are, actually caring about the world? Because you could have just been a greeter at a department store and called it a day at 4:00. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm simply saying, how did you emerge from your life? How did your life shapeshift you to be the light you are?
I was a product of the 60s. I was a product of the flower power and the hippie revolution, the spiritual revolution that changed the world. And we were really passionate about changing the world. We were passionate about, let's create a better world. Let's get rid of this horrible war over there in Vietnam. What are we doing there? And let's make love, not war. And, at that time, I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And those of us who were hippies, it wasn't just all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We were actually seeking higher consciousness. We were looking for nirvana. And at that time, the people we were following, our gurus at that time, were Timothy Leary and Richard Alpert, who later became Ram Dass. They wrote a book called The Psychedelic Experience. And they told us that we could reach nirvana through LSD. And I tried that. It didn't work out very well for me, I'll tell you. I actually had a horrible psychotic episode as a result of taking LSD. But I still wanted to reach nirvana. So I tried taking LSD more times. I tried some other drugs. And, I eventually did have some good experiences with the drugs. But I tell you, I was really looking for something real.
Yeah.
I wanted real meditation. And, I was reading the Buddha scriptures. I was reading Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I was reading The Way of Zen and other works by Alan Watts. And in his books, he was saying you have to find a meditation guide. Well, in 1966 in Berkeley, California, you didn't exactly open the yellow pages and find meditation guide or anything
Right.
remotely similar to that. So I asked a friend, how do I do this? How do I find this meditation guide? He said, well, have you ever tried to meditate yourself? So I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I lay down on my bed. That's how clueless I was, Temple. I didn't even know that you're supposed to sit up when you meditate. I lay on my bed and sort of prayed for or asked for a meditation.
Mhm.
And immediately I was propelled into this ecstatic state. I could feel this cord or rush of energy rushing from the tips of my toes all the way up to the top of my head. And I felt like I was plugged into this cosmic electric socket, but in a most ecstatic way. And I didn't know, I figured, well, I guess this is meditation. Didn't know any better. But in fact, I had had my first meditation experience and also Kundalini awakening all at the same time without any drugs or anything like that. So
Wow.
I just kind of stumbled upon that experience somehow. And it was quite amazing and very powerful. And it changed my life. And a friend took me to the Transcendental Meditation Center, and I saw a picture of the guru on the wall. And immediately I could tell just from looking at his picture that this is where I'm going to learn real meditation. But it wasn't just about meditation, because he had a particular philosophy that attracted me and attracted so many of my generation. And that was, he believed that in order for the forest to be green, the trees must be green. In order for the world to be at peace, individuals must be at peace. And that philosophy of world peace, that's what really attracted me. And that's the reason why I ended up spending 2 decades in his various ashrams and on his personal staff for 6 years. And in case you don't know who Maharishi is, he was the guru of the Beatles. And I wrote a book about my memoir here, Maharishi and Me Seeking Enlightenment with the Beatles Guru. So that's how I
That's beautiful.
got started.
And Susan, they can find your books on drsusan.org. Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Or
that's one place you
Amazon.
can find them.
Or
You can
Amazon.
find them anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
any place books
Yeah.
are sold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. So those words, Marlo Thomas wrote a book, Right Words at the Right Time. Have you ever seen that one? Right Words at the Right Time. And it's brilliant. It's chicken soup for the soulish. In other words, she asked a lot of well-known people, what were the right words that you heard at the right time? And how did it shapeshift you and lead you to a new place? And that whole idea of peace and being at peace within yourself is, I love that closing of the peace song, and the peace song that is sung in unity, and let it begin with me. That's like a big thing. That's not something that rhymes. I mean, the bottom line is, if we could start there, right, and living in that grace. But well, that is wonderful. And I'm with you. I mostly well, I was quite dysfunctional. So I mean, I drank so much that one could call it almost like an unconscious suicide attempt because of the level that I drank. And I went to jail twice, and I had, 12 car accidents. A few of those I shouldn't be here, other than the fact that the soul had a purpose, and I get all that part of it. But that being said, what was hysterical, Dr. Susan, is that I would almost drink myself to death, but I was afraid to take any kind of pills because I didn't want to hurt myself.
Oh my God.
Right. I mean, that's why they call it that it is a disease deeply. But all that said, I've never really latched onto that. The trends now of this time in the 21st century is ayahuasca. And I hear people talking about that they just love it and stuff like that. But I just don't want to do anything where I'm not in my body. I'm with you. I just want to be awake and alert and aware, because I feel like you can get there just with that. How do you feel about that?
Well, absolutely. I believe that if you want to meditate, or if you want to have experiences, spiritual experiences of higher consciousness, in order to really have genuine experiences, drugs is not the answer. Drugs is not a path for spiritual awakening.
Yes.
And for example, the Beatles went through that in a very heavy way until they realized, no, this is not the way. This is not my way to nirvana. And, when you say, let it begin with me, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me, beginning with me means taking personal responsibility. Every one of us is responsible. Every thought, word, and deed goes out into the universe. It's just like throwing a pebble in the center of a pond. The waves go out from that center, go to the edge of the pond, and then come back just as it was sent out. So everything that we do has consequences not only for ourselves, but for our loved ones, our city, our state, our nation, the entire world, the entire universe. Yeah. Everything we think, everything we say, everything we do is creating our destiny. As Buddha said in the very first verse of the first chapter of the Dhammapada, he said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. And then he goes on to say, if a person speaks or acts with a pure thought, then happiness follows him or her. If a person speaks or acts with an impure thought, then unhappiness follows him or her. So what he's telling us is that we create our reality moment by moment, day by day, not only for ourselves, but collectively for everyone and everything around us. We create it through every thought, every word, and every deed. And Jesus said the same thing. He said it so many times in so many ways, but the way that I love that he said, we are not defiled by what we put into our mouth. We are defiled by what comes out of our mouth.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why in Unity and in all New Thought teachings, affirmation is key. It is really fundamental for us to speak positively and to use affirmations, because affirmations have an instant positive result. It changes our attitude. It changes our whole frame of reference instantly. So that's why in so many of my books, I teach affirmation and prayer, but also meditation and mantra, all these methods that can really help us to change. We have to start somewhere. You were saying that people, they may feel that they're not enough, it's not enough, I'm not good enough, I can't really realize my dream. But you have to start somewhere. So in my opinion, a way to really start is to change your mind, change your attitude. And best possible way to do that is through affirmation and meditation and prayer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think for me too, a turning point, we're going back a ways, is that, and this is what I realized, coming into sobriety. I've been sober 34 years, most of my life. But that being said, it took as much energy to fail and mess up, if not more, than it did to just move forward with success, to move forward with, like you're saying, the dreams, the thoughts, the action, and the intentionality, because it takes a lot of energy to be out of harmony with nature, right? And nature is always urging us to become in our template, in our Templar, what we are, what we came here for. And so when there's that resistance and holding back in the fight of not being that, it's painful and stressful. And we urge all of you today, if you're having a space within yourself, I mean, just you start. I think that's the key. It ought to be a big banner that goes across our heads today that says, just start where you are. Just start now. A lot can be accomplished in a small amount of time as far as inner peace and joy and life and love. And I was telling someone the other day, I said at the former campus that I served 18 years, I said, we have a no profanity clause and understanding. That's a value for us. No profanity on our campus. And a staff member or two along the way has been written up because they use profanity. And the individual said, well, I don't do it when I'm at community. I just do it in my private life. Well, isn't that special? Isn't that special? Karma isn't divided among where you stand. It's how you stand. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
So of all your 20 books, do you have a favorite? Are they all?
Oh, I love all my books.
All of them. What was your first one, and how did it come about?
My first one was Divine Revelation. And that came about through listening to the still small voice and following inner guidance. It never would have been published by Simon & Schuster as an author's first book. Unknown spiritual author who knows nothing about writing and went to art school got published by Simon & Schuster only because I listened to guidance, inner guidance, and followed it. Mm-hmm. At some point in my life, it was the middle of the 80s, at some point, I made the conscious decision that I would be led by spirit as much as I possibly could. I mean, you can't do it 100%, it's impossible because it's very challenging. But I made the choice that what I would do is I would ask for guidance as often as I need to, that I would meditate and absolutely have conversations with divine beings, beings of light, with deity, with higher self, whatever you want to call it. It's all the spiritual world, spiritual plane, to have conversations with God and to listen to that inner voice and to trust it and to follow it. So I did that with my first book. And it was the book, Divine Revelation, the book wrote itself, basically. And then when I wanted to get it published, I asked Spirit, well, what do I do? And Spirit said, well, go to the library and find yourself a literary agent. There was no internet.
Right.
You went to the library. Go to the library and find yourself a literary agent. And I looked through the list of agents, and this one I knew right away, Jeff Herman. He was a business book agent. He didn't even agent spiritual books. But I just had a feeling he was the one. And so I sent my book proposal to him. But I didn't just send it only to him. I didn't have quite that much faith. I sent it to 30 agents, but he was the first one to respond. He responded within 2 days after receiving my proposal. So, long story short, I signed with Jeff. He tried to sell the book and he got some rejections. And all of a sudden I get this letter from the Jeff Herman agency. It says, oh, we're very sorry, but we've had a staff shortage and we can no longer represent you. And I was like, oh my God, I asked Spirit. Spirit told me this is my agent. What's going on?
What the heck? Yeah.
And so I went into meditation and asked, and Spirit said, well, no, he's your agent. Don't try to sign with another agent and don't try to sell the book yourself. So I went back to him and I said, well, my intuition says you're my agent, this business book guy. And so what happened? Well, nothing happened. And then eventually I heard back from him and it said, he said, well, I'm sorry, but I can't represent you. So I went back into meditation again, and Spirit said, no, he's still your agent. Don't sign with another agent, and don't try to sell the book yourself. So I go back to him again. My intuition still says that you're my agent. Well, months go by, literally months go by. And then all of a sudden I get this phone call out of the blue from Jeff Herman. And he says, we're very impressed with your perseverance. We decided to represent you. Come to my office and meet my partner. We're going to handle your book. So I went to the office in downtown Manhattan, and all the business books are stacked on the wall, you know. Like, and then this woman appears, this beautiful woman, this long black curly hair, and it turns out she's a psychic. She gives me a psychic reading. What? Ended up that he sold the book to Simon and Schuster. And my editor at Simon and Schuster said it's the very best written book she ever edited since she started working there. And, you know, it turned out pretty well.
What a love story. And have you continued to stay with Simon and Schuster through your journey, or?
No, but I do have, this book, for example, was published by a division of Simon and Schuster, Skyhorse. Yes. And I have a book coming up called The Inner Light, How India Influenced the Beatles. And that is published by Permuted Press, which is also part of Simon and Schuster.
Wow, that sounds very exciting. Could you say the title again? The Inner Light, How India Influenced the Beatles. Wow. And you can pre-order it right now on Amazon. It's available. Okay. In fact, not just on Amazon, you can pre-order it on Barnes & Noble, on Target, on a lot of places. Yeah, that's wonderful. That sounds like a fascinating book. Where do you currently live?
I live in an RV, and I have no home base. This is my RV.
Oh, I meant more the city.
Yes. So I've lived in an RV, a van, or a trailer since 1989.
Oh my gosh, girl, that's fascinating. I love that. I had no idea, meaning that doesn't make you more or less. I didn't know that. And having had an experience, the messages from Spirit, because it's like you, I do my best to listen to them. And I was told 8 times by people, some I didn't know, that I was moving here to Santa Barbara. And that was last spring. And that was, okay, this is something that I must do. I don't understand it because I really love everything about my life where I am. But that being said, my wife reminded me that was more my thing. And yet she's fully enrolled. She's here at the Unity of Santa Barbara right now, making decisions. She's on a team already. But that being said, she reminded me that she had a dream, Dr. Susan, called an RV. And so we just bought an RV.
Oh my gosh.
And we didn't know anything about it. We didn't study a book. We didn't take a class. I mean, help us. We didn't even look at an ops manual. But we're like, just take off on this, new RV to us. But it's so incredible. And our sister, Teresa, she helped us immensely and kind of guiding us, but it's really, really interesting because I was telling a group a couple of weeks ago, I needed the experience of the RV because I saw America. I saw people that live in America. I witnessed generosity. I witnessed, how can I help you? I witnessed, can we do anything for you? Not the America that's fueled by lack and hate and violence on 24/7 news. That is not the America that we live in. So anyway, I just, I think that's so cool that you've been doing that. I want to know more about that because you were way long ahead of Nomad Land.
For sure.
Wow, girl, that's beautiful.
Yeah, spirit had guided me to live that way. And so I have, I'm still living in the RV. I've gotten better RVs,
Right.
but anyway, yeah, there's a certain freedom.
What city are you in now?
I'm in Pennsylvania right now.
All right.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'll be in the same place tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to be in New Jersey tomorrow. So
okay, yeah. Well, if you find your way on the West Coast, let me know.
For sure, yeah.
Definitely,
yeah.
or in Florida at First Unity, because they're awake again, meaning they have authors coming and great light like you, and you're such a blessing. I want to thank all of you for tuning in and being with us. We're going to be right back after this short break, and you'll learn more about Dr. Susan. Go to drsusan.org and find out more. And we'll be right back, and you can visit me at templehays.com. We'll see you in a bit. All right, we're recording.
Welcome back to The Intentional Spirit with Reverend Temple Hayes.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for being with us. Here we are today, and it's so good to be back with all of you and this wonderful audience that we have that's intentional. And you've been such an incredible group of people I've had the good pleasure of being with for many, many years. Today, we're talking to Dr. Susan Shumsky, and you can go to drsusan.org. She is the author of 20 plus books. Her books are all over the world. And what we started before we went to break is she was sharing how she's lived in an RV since the 80s. And I'm like, girl, you are just so cool. You really, really are. So how did you get into being an RVer?
As I was saying earlier in the show, I do my best to be led by spirit on a daily basis. I do my best to follow inner guidance. And so many miracles have taken place in my life as a result of listening to that inner voice. It just verifies for me that it's real, that spirit is real, and that you can communicate with spirit. You can be led by spirit. You can have a miraculous life. There are coincidences that are not really coincidental that will take place all over your life if you are willing to just follow the guidance. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect at it right away, because you may be guided to do things that are very challenging. For example, I just told the story of how I got my first book published by Simon & Schuster. And I tell you, it was very challenging for me to just listen to that inner voice that kept telling me, no, he's your agent. Don't try to sign with another agent. Don't try to sell the book yourself. It was so challenging because I thought I must be going out of my mind. Why would I listen to such crazy guidance? But right. I did. And it turned out wonderfully. And it turned out I had a whole career in writing books as a result of just following the inner guidance. So one of the inner guidances,
Susan, you make a key point, and that's what I found, when I was guided by spirit through the voice of other people, to say that, I was, my dog was hung with his leash. Where I, was told you're living to Santa Barbara, and then of course, people want to give their opinions,
right.
I call them UFOs, unfounded opinions in most, but they're like, why would you want to do that? Or, well, people aren't doing that. People are leaving California to go somewhere else. Well, I don't know where they went because the housing market didn't leave any availability. But, the point being that it at times wasn't easy. At times it was stressful. At times I'm like, okay, God, what the heck? It's time of, what we thought. We had put down a deposit on a house, then it didn't work. And it was like, what, and so that's what I wanted to just allude to others and elaborate, that you were questioned, you got the message that you were told, yes, this is what is going to happen. And this is the agent that you're going to use, but they were telling you no.
Exactly.
A lot they were telling you no. So make a note of that, everyone. Just because it's spirit guided doesn't mean you just walk to the first door and knock and everything's like hunky-dory. You have to put in that effort often. And it doesn't mean that your listening was wrong. And I think that often people do that, Susan. They make one attempt, they get a message in meditation or in prayer, and they make one attempt, and then something didn't go well, and they go, oh, well, it's not meant to be,
Yeah, this whole thing is not meant to be. I hate that phrase because what it is so fatalistic. We are creating our destiny ourselves. We are the one. There's no, you're the actor on the stage. You're the director. You're the lighting coordinator. You're the camera person. In fact, you wrote the script. So you're the one creating your life. Nobody else is. And this idea that not meant to be is a very fatalistic attitude. It's time for us to take responsibility for creating the destiny that we want to create. And I think that's very, very, you made such an important point, because people just give up. Oh, it didn't work out for me. Oh, it's not meant to be. That's pathetic. Listen to guidance and know that it really is God speaking to you, and trust it and follow it. And if it doesn't work like you want it to work, so what, just follow it, just trust it. So so you were asking me, why did I choose to go into living in an RV? Because Spirit told me to. That's why. Because I was guided to. So and it seemed like kind of crazy.
That had an RV in the 80s?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Oh my gosh.
I bought
an original idea. You are an original idea. Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I picked up I got a pickup truck, and I got a trailer, and I started towing, and I hated towing. I just hated that. So then I got a van, and then I got an RV, and then I got another RV, and then I got another RV. So I started with a trailer and a pickup truck.
Wow, that's incredible. And do you often, would you say and it's just because I've been at this a month. So, that's how much I claim to know about it. But do you go from, KOA to KOA, or do you find places that you stay permanent? I know in Florida, I know this because a friend of mine is going through this. It's like they have this rule, Florida rule, that you can't claim permanent residence in an RV park. Is that different though with other states?
I have no idea, and I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
Like I said, I've lived in a van, a trailer, or an RV since 1989. That's about 32 years or something?
That's a while.
And in my 32 years, I've stayed in an RV park maybe a total of 20 nights.
Wow.
I don't stay in RV parks. Wow. I'm what you call a boondocker. A boondocker is a person who doesn't hook in, hook up, they're dry camping, what's called dry camping. Okay. So that means that you have to fill up the tank with water, and you have to have some means of electrical power other than a plug. So you have a generator, you have an inverter, and you fill up your tank, and that's it. And then you stay wherever you stay. And right now I'm parked, let me see, there's a Home Depot across the street right now.
Right. And I was told that you could stay at behind Cracker Barrels and
Oh,
you know
yes.
places like that. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of places you can stay where no one's going to bother you. And believe me, I know how to do that with this amount of time.
After 32 years. That is
Yeah.
amazing. I
Yeah.
just love that.
So I have a basement. In my basement, that's the compartments that are, I have a 40-foot vehicle. Okay.
Oh,
40
40 foot. Wow.
a diesel pusher, it's called. And so I have compartments on the bottom, and in my compartments, I've got all my books. My
Mhm.
my books are there. So, you know, I have
It's
room. I have
almost, you
space for
almost
everything.
have like a bus, right?
It's a bus. It's a
Yeah.
bus chassis. And the chassis that's a bus chassis, you drive it like a bus driver drives. And it has a great turning radius. You know, that's the nature of a bus. A bus chassis is different than like what you have.
Yeah.
But what you have is great because it's manageable, it's small enough, and Mercedes is a great chassis. So that's a good thing to have. You
Yeah,
made a
well,
good choice.
We just figured, you know, for what we want to use it for, that it was long enough and big enough, you know, for little 2-day trips throughout the state of California. You know,
Absolutely.
we never really pursued a RV in Florida because it, you know, takes a whole day just to get out of Florida. It's like Texas. So we're very excited to, you know, pursue that as time goes on. But that's amazing. I just, I'm like, wow. And the timing, you know, I mean, it just means a lot to me personally, as I know it means a lot to our listeners too. But having had the experience, it's like I have a whole different window of who you are that I wouldn't have been able to understand because I haven't done it, you know, but now I have. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Do you have pets?
No, I don't have any pets.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be good for me to have pets because I fly around internationally quite a bit
Yeah,
too, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and you have a tell everyone about your cruising,
right.
and because I know you're going to be gearing up for that again.
Yeah, I have a travel company. It's called Divine Travels, and that's divinetravels.com. That's plural on the travels, DIVINETRAVELS.com. And so I take people on tours to sacred destinations. I've done a lot of tours to India, to Peru, some to Egypt, Bali, different places around the world. And also I produce seminars at sea, conferences at sea on cruise ships.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I invited Temple to be on one of those at one point.
Yes.
And I'm going to invite her again, actually. So so these conferences at sea are really fun. It's so amazing to be just kind of rocked like a baby on the ocean. It's so relaxing. It's so incredible to be on the sea and then have wonderful, inspiring conferences, fantastic speakers, different activities, and not only on the ship, but also the different ports that we go to. I always have some really amazing activities for us to do at the ports. So it's so much fun. And
yes.
I love it.
Yes, you must have really missed it during COVID.
Well, yes, seriously missed it in a big way.
Yeah.
It was devastating, because I had to postpone my trips. Some of the trips I had to postpone 4 times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's been very challenging.
Yes. Well, I've been doing Spirit at Sea travel for about 5 years and maybe a little longer. And that was why I didn't go with you that time, because we had just started it and it was like, well, that would be a little confusing. But, same thing. It's like not even bothering with booking something because it kept changing and all of that. But you bring in, what I've noticed about you, Divine Travels, and everyone go to Divine Travels. .com, you said, yes, .com? Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can see, I know you have photos and stuff from years past, and you bring in just some amazing luminaries from all over the world. That's what's so impressive, is the people that you get to go on the cruises with you.
Yeah, we've had some really amazing speakers on our cruises.
And Spirit just tells you who to go with.
Yeah, well, as usual, I listen to my inner voice and follow inner guidance in almost everything in my life, and I do my best. Like I said, it's not easy. As Temple said, it's not easy. It can be challenging, and but that's what I've dedicated my life to, following, being obedient to Spirit, being obedient to God.
Yeah, well, with this, and there's always, often when I drive my car, could be a rental car, could be my car, could be my city, could be a city I'm visiting. I always say, oh, when it comes to this particular turn, there's going to be somebody that's doing it right before me to show me the way, and I understand we have Waze and we have GPS and all that stuff, but still sometimes when you're on curvy roads and things like that, it's always nice when there's a car in front of you that's taking that same route and you go, oh, good, thank you for showing the way. And that was true for this major move. I had no idea, I've not ever had a child, birthed a child. I mean, I have a child now that's a chosen child, but I've never birthed one. And I'm like, whoa, it's a good thing, or what I understand, women don't know what it entails because they're better to live in what they don't know. And with this major move, I'm like, gosh, I understand now why people would just build a pool, or they get a bigger house, or they, get an RV or whatever, because it's a big thing. And fortunately, one of my dear friends left Houston and moved to Portugal. And so she would always remind me, of, those are days that you're going, wow, I haven't felt like I live in my home for months. And then, I'm out there on those little tiny branches. But like you're saying, you ultimately wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, it is just so cool. You feel younger, you feel more energized, you feel more committed to life, and it's just awesome. So that seems to be mine and your theme today.
Yeah.
Starting with you, of having those divine revelations. Yes.
Yeah, trust in Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Start a conversation with Spirit. When you're in deep meditation sometime, instead of just having a passive experience of meditation, where you just go into the deep meditation, you feel relaxed, you feel quiet, you feel peaceful, and then you come out of the meditation, really it's completely passive. Instead of that, when you're in that deep meditative state, call upon a divine being that you feel, that you trust. For example, you could call on Jesus or another divine being, and then begin to ask. Everything that I teach is based upon one principle, and that is ask and it shall be given unto you.
Yeah.
So ask for guidance, ask for healing, ask for inspiration, ask for something of Spirit. Ask a question about a problem that you have in your life. If maybe you have a problem at work or a problem at home and you want guidance on that. So ask for guidance about that. Ask Spirit a specific question, like what is wise for me to do about the conflict I'm having with my boss at work, something very practical. And then take a big deep breath and just allow, have a neutral attitude and allow, and Spirit will speak to you. It will give you guidance. It will give you inspiration. You'll either see something, hear something, or feel something. Those are the three basic ways that we receive guidance from Spirit, either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. And just allow yourself to listen to that, to receive that guidance, and then, take a baby step in the direction of following it, of actually doing what Spirit tells you to do, and see what happens.
The deeper word is trust, isn't it, Susan?
Yeah, it takes,
That's a big word, isn't it?
yeah,
Trust.
because when you follow inner guidance, it's like jumping off of cliffs. When you jump off of a cliff, either God is going to catch you, or you're going to have to learn how to fly real fast.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
that's trust. That's faith. And
Yep. And when we ask and we get the message, here's what you're going to do, and you're like, what? And then you take
exactly.
a few steps forward, and then you feel like you get a little slap, or you feel like you get a no, or something didn't work out. Then you go like, whoa, man. Well, maybe I didn't listen, or maybe I don't know how to do it, But the simplicity of what you're saying is so true. It's ask and it is given, and just pay attention, and just know that every now and then there is a rockiness about it, I think. Right. And because you love RVs, this was the idea that I shared on Sunday here at Unity of Santa Barbara. That because this is new for me, I'm very childlike, and I hope I stay that way, but going to an RV park, and often, Dr. Susan, we would arrive at dark 30, and we would have pre-registered online. So they had our little package ready. And I said, and they give you, this diagram of the park. And it's almost like it's gone through the shrink machine. I mean, it's so little. And the numbers and you are here, and you are here, and, it's intense because we're more intense when something's new, and it's like, oh, we're on number 17, A17. Well, do you see that? I mean, it says some kind of street like Marigold.
Oh, no.
And you're driving around in the dark, and you're straining, and you're leaning in, and you got your phone on, the light, the flashlight, and you're magnifying and trying to see it, and everything just seems so big, and you finally arrive at where you're supposed to plug in and do all that. And you wake up the next morning, and you go outside, and you almost feel silly because it's so little, this park. It's not big. It's not huge. It's just 3 turns, and that's it. And that's life, isn't it? That when you, and hear that, all of you, whatever you are going through, and I'm not implying that you are, but I know that if you are alive, you either have been, or you will be, or you could be going through some dark. It feels big, but it's not really when light shines upon it, because it just opens the way for a new avenue for yourself and your heart. And that's what it's all about. So anyway, thank you for letting me share that, because I just found that to be so funny. It would be like, it would seem so huge. It's like, where do we go? I can't see a thing. I can't see a thing.
Anything is new. Anything that's new is like that.
Yeah.
Anything, any experience where we have to get out of our comfort zone and do something different than the norm.
Yeah,
Then
absolutely.
we have that kind of, oh my God, it's so big. Oh no. But once you take that step, once you take a little baby step in the direction, then you'll find that spirit will support you. You'll find you'll be supported by nature when you're following inner guidance, and you start taking the little baby steps. You'll find that, well, like I said earlier, coincidences that are not really coincidental will happen. And people will show up in the right time, the right place, and and all of a sudden, wow, miracles are happening in my life.
That's so true. Well, it certainly seems like you've had a whole lot of miracles happening in your life. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. And
the strangest little miracles, really weird.
And when's your new book coming out?
That's a good question, because we had to delay it because of COVID. There's been a lot of production problems with books.
Yes.
And the latest date is July 5th, supposedly. I don't know if they can do it in time though, because it was just sent to the designer. So I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to print it by that date. But in any case, you can pre-order it. Like I said,
Yes.
several places, just about anywhere the books are sold, you can pre-order.
And will you say the name again, please?
Yeah, it's called The Inner Light, How India Influenced the Beatles.
Oh, that's so cool. I love the title. Makes you want to buy the book. So everybody, you can go and pre-order. And after the book has been out for a while, I'm not really sure what radio station I'll be affiliated with, because Unity Online is closing on April 14th, but I'll be somewhere. So you can find me and look me up, Susan, because I'd love to have you again. And if you find your way here on the West Coast, love to have you here. Or like I said, I still have connections in Florida. So if you find your way there, let me know, because you're a bright light and we need your message out there for sure.
Thank you. And we need
do you have any parting words you'd like to give? We have a couple of minutes left.
Well, it's very rare to get incarnation in a human body. People may not realize that, but it is rare. There's so many incarnations that you can take, and human incarnation is a rare kind of choice, because you're able to reach higher consciousness. You're able to experience unbounded awareness and even attain enlightenment, even attain what they call moksha, which is freedom from the worldly material world. And so since you have this body, this human birth, it's a good idea to do your best to do some spiritual practices so that you can elevate your consciousness, which other species, other beings cannot do.
Yes.
So take advantage of that opportunity and follow inner guidance and find your true mission, your true purpose, what you're here to do on this planet. My latest book, Prosperity Meditations, can help you to discover what that is. And also follow the guidance, trust it, and live your best life. Live the life worth living, which is the life that's dedicated to spirit, the life of being a vessel for spirit. So that's the ideal life.
Be that vessel. Everyone go to drsusan.org. Stay in touch with me at templehays.com. I want to thank Jeff Comfort. He's the most amazing station manager ever. And Diane Ray, she's the most amazing leader of this radio station. So bless you all, and thank you for being with us. And thank you.
We are spiritual beings.